When we say AI, let's start first with LLM. What does that mean? How did that come about? What is all this? Because AI is the generic term that we use for what is really a specific technology. Because there's AI everywhere. Artificial intelligence has been around long before 4 years ago when ChatGPT hit the scene, and we've all seen it. In fact, we've all seen it through algorithms. We used to call it algorithms, or oh, the algorithms are figuring out what you like next on Instagram or whatever. And we kind of the term algorithms gone away. It's all referred to as AI. But the idea of having artificial intelligence, intelligence that can figure things out for humans has been around for a long time. And thank God for me, because I'm a terrible speller. And I can tell you, in 1992, when I got my first computer with spell check, or 93, excuse me, because I was started in 92, and my first semester of college was terrible in 1992. But in 1993, I got a computer, a 286 with Windows 3.0, and it had a program on there, a spell check, and that changed my whole life. Oh my goodness, that made things so much better. I'm a better speller because of it. And I'm not saying I'm a great speller. Many of you know me, you know I'm not, but I'm much better than I was because of artificial intelligence looking at what I did and guessing what I was trying to spell and helping me out. And it's only gotten better over the years, as we all know. In fact, a friend of mine was watching me work with of OpenAI the other day and was commenting about how I've gotten so lazy now I don't even go back and correct my spelling because it just figures it out. It's crazy. And I mean not even like it figures it out like it corrects it on the fly. Like I can misspell so badly it can't real time figure it out, but as soon as I hit submit, it does. So either way, it's the intelligence is crazy, but I digress. I'm gonna move on here. So AI has been around. It's nothing new. We've been calling it algorithms and other terms for years, but here we are today with a whole new thing, Chat GPT, and all these other AIs. I'm going to demystify this for you. You may already know some of this, but I'm going to just make sure for a base level, we're all on the same page. The AI most of you are using today, not entirely, but most of you are using, the stuff you get most excited about is referred to as an LLM or large language model. And this came out of Google, and just like Kodak, it's crazy. It's crazy how these things happen. Google developed something quite by accident, and it did something they weren't expecting. And then they got behind, and they didn't take advantage of it in the way they should have. OpenAI did and got way ahead of them. And now there's a war on for who can win this, and OpenAI is clearly winning. We can talk about that if you want, but that's because they picked up on something Google did several years ago. So what did they do? Why is this called large language model or LLM? The original place that this version of artificial intelligence came out of, the version that we're all gaga about, the reason we're all here right now, is Google was trying to build a better translator. And so if any of you traveled the last few years, Google Translator is incredible. I love it. I do a lot of overseas travel, and it makes a huge, huge difference. The power of that comes from a little feature they developed about 10 years ago as they were trying to figure out how do we speed this up? Because there's some processing power that goes into pointing your phone at some words or hearing some words and then translating them. It's not a simple task. It's becoming more simple every year, but at the time it wasn't. And what some Google engineer came up with was this concept that, well, wait a second, there are rhythms and patterns to language, and we can pre-program some of that. And so we can guess what the next word is, which will speed things up because if we're guessing, it won't take as long to translate it and we'll move faster. And since so much sentence structure and so much language is repetitive, and it is, while we like to think we're really intelligent, humans are pretty simple things. We have some complexity to us, no doubt, but there's a certain part of our life that's pretty simplistic. And so they developed this tool called the large language model in order to accomplish that. And it was brilliant, and it went quickly, and it really worked. What happened over time is they realized that at this guessing capability allowed them to guess at more things. And as they kept building it out, they realized it could get to the point that it could be artificial intelligence. And so for the most part, it's a little more technical than this. But when you go to AI and you say something like, I have an employee who is really having a challenge around getting along with other employees because they seem like they're very arrogant. It's going through, and based on what it knows and everything is digested, it's guessing at what the problem is. What happens though is if you ingest enough information, and if you've got a smart enough engine, large language model, you can get pretty good at guessing. And as we all know, because I can't believe there's anybody who has not used ChatGPT on this chat or on this Zoom. If you haven't, then shame on you. But as you know, you've been impressed. Like, wow, this thing just really impressed me on what it said. That is a component of large language models. What's happened though, and just like anything, when something gets named, the name doesn't change over time. This is no longer a large language model. This is a large intellectual model, is really what we should be probably calling a LIM, because it's intellectual, not just language any longer. It's also math and the whole bit. It's like taking a super genius and having it guess ahead of everything. And as we keep ingesting more information, it gets smarter and smarter. That's what is doing all the horsepower. So when you hear about, oh, there's these huge data centers, they're consuming so much power, that's LLM. And when I talk about building your own custom AI, I'm talking about you have your own interface, your own data, your own configurations, all of your stuff, and then use other people's LLMs, use other data centers to answer the questions, but customize all of your stuff. How do you do that? Well, that's where the next thing on the screen comes up, which is a RAG. The definition for RAG is retrieval augmented generation. Leave it to a computer nerd to come up with this term and this name, because you're going to be saying RAG, you're going to hear me saying RAG a lot, and that's what it stands for. But the simplest version of it is it's a program, it's a workflow where you program what is the data that you want the large language model or AI to have when you ask it a question. How do you want it to answer the question? So you can set different preset things around the AI. And this is what ChatGPT just does they do this for you without asking you. They just do all this. It will save the answers. It will set up different parameters around how should it show you the answers. Maybe should it hide things. It sets up the whole configuration for the way the AI should work. It's telling this super intelligent toddler what it needs to know and how it should work. That's what the RAG does. So that's what a GPT is. It's basically a RAG. It's just OpenAI's term for it. And when you go to ChatGPT, the reason why it's called that, and again, another example where it's a generic term is now becoming part of our lexicon. Originally, OpenAI just launched ChatGPT as an experiment, like, oh, guys, chat with this really smart general intelligence, right? And so that was their RAG. They developed a RAG, which is their GPT, and they said, let's make it into a chat. And so then all of a sudden, boom, 4 years later, everybody's using it. Every student in America writes their term papers using it. Many companies use it now to figure out strategy, including ones I work with. And we're using ChatGPT. And it started off as basically this chat bot. That's basically the simplest way to look at it. But that is a RAG. And what I'm suggesting is instead of using OpenAI's generic ChatGPT that you configure, and it's not hard. It doesn't take a lot of work. I shouldn't tell you this because I want to sell a bunch of services, but the reality is it's not hard to configure your own RAG or GPT, and we will talk about that in this presentation, and we'll talk about some of the things you should do and how we've done it and how it's worked for us. So those are the definitions.